Painting skin on our models never quite looks right, does it? So we just hate doing it and avoid it whenever possible. But I stumbled across something, and I think you're gonna need to see this. Painting skin can be one of the trickiest and most frustrating aspects of this entire hobby. And if you think about it, it makes sense. It's because in our day-to-day lives, we spend so much time focusing on and paying attention to the human face. From the time we're newborns, we're hardwired to focus in on that human face. And whether you realize it or not, you really can understand the intricacies of the coloration and depth of human skin. So when we pick up skin tone colors of paint and put it on our models, it looks fake. It doesn't look realistic, and it's not the paint's fault. It's the fact that our eyes are expecting to see more depth for it to read as skin. So how do we solve this issue? Well, you could spend $80,000 on a bachelor's of fine arts degree and really learn all the color theory and application needed to paint realistic skin. Or you could see this cool hack that I figured out and do it in next to no time. Your choice. Now our showcase model today is going to be from the new Ogre Maw tribes. These suckers have a lot of flesh, so they are a great palette for us to do this experiment on. Also, I really have an inkling to figure out if these models would be good for a certain Golden Demon project I have in the works, so I need to wet my palette on one of these chubby boys. That sounded different out loud than how I planned it in my head. Now to start off, we are going to prime this model with a light gray or white primer because we're going to start with a light skin tone directly over the primer, and if we prime this thing black, it's just going to take us way more time to get this initial base coat of flesh tones on the model. And this skin painting process is only 3 steps. Our very first one, once primed, is to lay down our base coat of our skin tones. I'm starting with a pretty light skin tone, and that's because I'm going to be putting on colors on top of this, and those extra colors are going to show easier if we start lighter. Now you can use whatever skin tone you like for this, but I would say start a little bit brighter than what you want the final color to be. I'm also adding in a bit of shadows right at this stage with a slightly darker, warmer skin tone as well. I'm just slopping on a wet blend where I place the shadow color and then I come in with my brighter skin tone and kind of mix them together right on the model. I don't need to be exact in this. It doesn't need to be a perfect wet blend. I'm just kind of boxing out where I want the darker shadows to be. Now you do want to make sure that this base coat has full coverage over that primer, and one coat is not going to do the trick. I'll come through a second and maybe even a third time to make sure none of that gray is showing. And even though you have that wet blend that went underneath for your shadows, it's okay to just go over that a second or third time. Again, it's not about being perfect. It's just about generally placing those shadows where you want them. Now these ogres have a big gut plate here, and apparently that's made of metal. But to me, it looks like it's got the same kind of scratches on this model as it does on the rest of him. So I'm gonna paint it like skin. It looks like a big old beer belly to me, so that gives us more skin to practice on. You don't have to do this part, but I think it's kind of hilarious looking. Really, you can paint any part of your model as skin if you try hard enough. As I'm building in these shadows, I tried to be a little bit snazzy and built in a cast shadow right on the upper part of his belly, where that belly plate is really overhanging and would cast a shadow, and I'm just using a little bit of a darker red color mixed in with that shadow color to give us that dark shadow that the plate above is casting on it. All right, step 1 is already done. We have our skin with just the skin in a bottle. And here is where we're gonna start introducing all the colors that make up interesting human skin. And how I'm gonna do that is take a wide variety of colors and I'm gonna thin them way down with water so they're basically like dirty paint water. Now there's a lot of interesting artistic theory behind skin tone zones, and I'll show some examples here of different zones on the human face, where you have yellow up on the forehead, and then you have a red band across the nose, the cheeks, and the ears, and the lower chin is a desaturated color, oftentimes a blue or a green. Now, how much of these colors you add or where you add them in the paint job can be a bit overwhelming and confusing, and that's why we're just going to use really thin paint to do this across the entire model. By using this thin paint, we're able to build up a bit of that interesting color depth without entirely covering that skin tone that we started with. Now, if you're going with a darker skin tone, note that this yellow, red, blue combination can alter slightly, as that darker skin tone does affect how the blood underneath the skin is shown outside. So notice that in this darker skin example, there are slight variations, and you can use this as a starting point if you want to start with darker skin. Now again, we are using really thin paint here, so no single pass across the model is going to ruin anything or make a drastic change. And because that lighter skin tone is going to show these glazes on top really easily, we're going to see this variation in the skin start to come to life. Now, it's important that we make sure we wick our brush off on our paper towel before we touch the model, because when you're working with really thin paint, it's going to want to absorb into the bristles of your brush. And as soon as you touch that model, it's going to flood everywhere. So you want to wick most of the moisture and paint off before you touch the model, so you have full control over where these glazes end up going. Now, you can follow this basic roadmap of yellow colors on parts of the skin that don't have a lot of meat or flesh underneath them. You can follow the darker areas that are going to be in more shadows, like the armpits and near the waistline in the blue color, and any corners on your body where you have like elbows, knees, and knuckles. Those tend to be redder. You can follow that map, but you don't have to stick truly to it. You can have a little fun experimenting. And if I use colors like a sickly green or a purple, I can add this effect of bruising, of interesting color depth and variation, spottiness of the skin itself. So the more creepy or gross or disfigured you want your skin to look, the more interesting colors you can choose to add. All right, we're going to get back to the painting in just a second, but I want to take a minute to talk to you about today's sponsor, Brevo. If you're anything like me, at any given time, you have a million things going on. Work and business, family and household obligations. Of course, there's the mini painting projects, kit bash ideas, and dioramas you're trying to build. So if you're a working professional, have your own business, or just trying to grow your own hobby and those following you, keeping track of marketing and communications for those things can be overwhelming. But that is where Brevo comes in. Brevo is an all-in-one platform that lets you manage things like email marketing, campaigns, customer relationships, and automated communications, all in one place. So instead of cobbling together a bunch of different tools just to stay in touch with your audience, Brevo gives you a single place that can actually manage it. I'm definitely a big fan of the automation tools. You can set up things like welcome emails and follow-up messages ahead of time, so your audience gets the right information without you having to remember to send it every single time. Basically, Brevo helps you manage the boring communication stuff. And they do that with amazing tools like combining email, SMS, chat, CRM, and automation in a single interface. And there's no need for costly integrations or subscriptions. You simply streamline your administrative work and stay on top of that communication. So if you're building or growing your business, a community, or just trying to stay on top of communicating with your audience, Brevo is the tool you need. And now is the perfect time to check it out, because you can use my link below and use code NINJON50 for 50% off at checkout. Thanks, Brevo. Now let's get back to painting some little plastic dudes. Step 2 of the skin is done, and immediately this looks way better than the first step. And I'll tell you what, if you wanted to knock out an entire army quickly, you could just stop right here. But we're going to take it to the final step to really boost it to life and start adding some highlights selectively. And this is a very key step, because typically highlighting skin can be tricky for 2 reasons. The first reason is skin tends to be very organic in shapes and not have a lot of edges. It's a lot easier to edge highlight something than it is to highlight lots of round and amorphous shapes that make up skin. The second reason it's difficult is because we're dealing with bright paint, oftentimes off-white paints, to make these highlights, and that can come across as chalky with not great coverage. So the trick that I've found to highlighting skin actually covers both of those issues, and that is to use less brush strokes and use more stippling dots and just pressing your brush on an area and then letting it dry. By using these dots and scratching methods, we're not actually worried about full smooth coverage, but we're making sure that we get that opacity of the brighter highlight that will show clearly above the base color. For the most part, I'm keeping this paint for this step pretty thin, about 1 part paint to 1 part water. And when it dries, it'll fade into that layer underneath. So you don't have to worry about sharp definition between highlight and shadow. Skin, after all, is very fluid and smooth in its different transitions of where light is hitting it and not. And that's pretty key. We can always build up with a second or third layer of this highlight, but we don't want to go too thick with our paint, so it does give you that stark look that we're trying to avoid. Now, in terms of what actual paint I'm using here, I take that base bright skin tone as a starting point, and then I might even mix just a tiny bit of whatever color that I had a tint underneath it in with it, and then a little bit of off-white, so it's brighter. So that highlight area that is in a redder area, I'm gonna make it more of a brighter pink there. And then up where it's a more yellowy area, it's more of a yellowy bright skin tone. This gives you more variation all the way through your highlights, and that can be a bit overwhelming for your first attempt, so you may not want to test that, but that's what I'm doing today. For you, you can just start with that base brighter skin tone that you started with, add a little bit of an ivory paint to it so it's a little bit brighter, and then go about highlighting all of the skin. So that's it, 3 steps for making fast, realistic looking skin. Thanks for joining me today. Psych, I got more hacks to show to finish up this model. We need to get the rest of this model painted so we can get a good context of how realistic and interesting this skin actually looks. I don't want to spend a lot of time with this, but I also don't want it to look sloppy or rushed, so it throws off how good the final model with the cool skin actually looks. Let's start with the small details that, while cool and bring a lot of personality to our models, aren't as important, and we shouldn't waste a lot of time on them. Here's my basic 3-step process for crap like this. A clean base coat with full coverage over that detail. Then I thin down a darker paint that is still interesting color, not just a black or a gray. And I thin it down with about 4 parts water to 1 part paint. And I use that as a wash over the entire surface. And then finally, I bring in a highlight that's slightly brighter than the base coat, and I hit all the edges and upward facing surfaces. This is my tried and true process for getting through that little crap as fast as possible without making it look rushed. But what about those other details that are a bit more important? Of course, I'm speaking of his sweet-ass parachute pants here, and you can have a bit more fun with an interesting shadow color with a detail like this. First of all, the pants themselves are going to be a much more fun sage green color because I need an accent to the warm colored skin. And instead of just glazing over the shadows like I did with those smaller details, I'm going to use thicker paints and just pull that into the shadows to create more drama and have an interesting turquoise color for the shadow of these pants. This gives us a bit more drama than a thinned wash for shadows, and it means we don't have to go over the entire pants again to highlight them. Instead, I'm using a selective cross hatching with a brighter color to give a bit of texture to these linen pants. And this way, I don't have to worry about blending or making smoothness for these highlights. I just put a bunch of scratchy lines on the upward facing folds of each of these pants to bring some more contrast through texture while getting this highlighting done fast. At the end of the day, perfectly smooth midtones, highlights, and shadows are wonderful, but they take a lot of time, and they aren't really what matters to be an impactful miniature. They're what take an impactful miniature to a wowing miniature. And we're focused on making impactful miniatures today. Now, we have one other important detail that we need to work around on this model. You can probably guess what it is. It's all the metallics. And I'm going to go through my favorite new way of painting metallics that's fast and looks way more cool than just simply base coating them with lead belcher and throwing on a wash. This experimentation is my new true metallic metal approach, and I want to go through another iteration of it today. Because remember, every model you paint is an excuse to try out something new. After all, that's how we learn and how we grow. I'm not starting this copper with a metallic paint. I'm starting with a dark turquoise to act as the darkest shadow. From there, I use about 3 parts water to 1 part paint on a regular mid-tone turquoise to get a nice thin consistency. I then dab that paint in areas where most of the corrosion would collect, in cracks, recesses, and dings in the metal. After I place down the paint, I can quickly clean my brush and go back to the model and feather out these areas to create a natural fade. It's okay if at this step the model looks a little bit splotchy or uneven. We're going to cover that in just a second. But what's most important is that we've laid out all of our darkest shadows and our interesting corrosion that we can build off of with the actual metallic paint. And speaking of that metallic paint, only at our final step do we actually bring out that metallic paint. What we've done is created all of those shadows areas that aren't reflecting light. They should not have a shine, so why would we base coat them with metallic paint to start with? The only areas of the object that we're going to paint with this metallic paint are the places where light is hitting and the shine would be showing. For this step, I use a smaller brush, and a synthetic brush is just fine. I begin by hitting all of the edges of the metallics because that's where shine would collect. The light would hit it, and that's what's going to make your eye read it as metallic. From there, I go across all of the surfaces and look where it's upward facing. I begin putting down scratchy lines all over the metal. That shows the wear and age where this shine is showing through. I roughly follow the shape of each surface. This way, we're just building up the shine and leaving much of that scratchy, shadowy area underneath untouched. The trick here is not to paint everything. We're creating drama because our metallic paint is going to even look more shiny and more eye-catching because it's right next to that really dark, interesting, multicolored shadows. If you've painted metallics in a more traditional way, you can see how we're saving a lot of time here. Usually, you'd have to base coat the whole thing in a silver or a copper and then try to build in the shadows and then bring it back up. The problem with that is you actually don't cut away most of the shine on the metallic, so you don't get the drama like we're getting here. The process for painting steel or iron is the same. We just use slightly different colors as those undercoats. I use a dark warm brown like Rhinox hide as my base coat, and then a thin down rich reddish brown like Doombull brown to create that rust. I like this process because it doesn't require any precision from you until that very last step. You're just building up interest in color, and only at the end are you focused on hitting edges and really defining where that shininess will come from. As a bonus, not only is this super fast, but it's one of the most satisfying and fun ways to paint true metallics that I've ever found. You get to see your results really quickly, and you get to see all that depth of color that you added, and it didn't take any extra time because you only made it metals at the end. I quickly slapped down some colors on the base with whatever paints were still on my palette, then I glued down a few grass tufts, and now it is time to see how well our skin painting turned out when framed with a fully painted model. And with that, our beautiful ogre baby boy in all his glorious skin is done. And I gotta say, I really like how this skin turned out. Even after kind of rushing through those extra steps at the end, it still looks really, really good. The skin looks much more realistic, much more alive, and I didn't really have to truly understand how to use all the right colors for skin to make it work. You know, painting skin is one of those really weird things. At first, I hated it because it seemed so overwhelming and it never looked realistic. But the more that I've been experimenting with using all sorts of other colors with the basic skin tone paint, the more I'm feeling like this is really exciting. I want to learn more. I want to paint more models with skin instead of avoiding them like I used to. It's really, to me, what this hobby is all about, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and building confidence as you paint your way out of them. And I appreciate you hanging out with me today. I appreciate your support for subscribing for the channel. And a big thank you to those of you that supported me by pre-ordering the deck of many colors. You should be getting an email very soon with a shipping notification that your decks are on the way. And if you haven't ordered your deck of many colors yet or don't know what the heck it is, check out my link below for my brand new redesigned website. It'll walk you through why they're cool and show you what the cards look like. And I appreciate any of you that visit that and order yours and get them coming in the mail very soon. Now, if you excuse me, I got a lot of ogres here, which means I got a lot of skin to paint, but I'll be back before you know it with another new video. I just hope that sometime between now and then, you find time in your day to slay the gray.